Michelle Lujan Grisham. Governor, thanks so much for joining us. So in the wake of the Supreme Court's decision, you signed an executive order in New Mexico. You are offering protections for any women or girls who travel to your state to get an abortion and for doctors who perform them there. Minnesota and Massachusetts have taken similar actions. What do you think would be the next step? Do you think that states that have bans, that pass laws prohibiting women or girls from traveling to other states will sue New Mexico? Where does this lead, do you think?
Well, that's the question, right? We don't know where it leads, but we don't want anything that's going to limit access or having a chilling effect on provider safety or safe harbor. You can't say that you're a state, and we are, that guarantees safe legal access to reproductive support, abortion, and abortion care services if providers feel like they don't have the protections that they're going to need, particularly since lots of providers, lots of healthcare insurance companies are multi-state. And now that the U.S. Supreme Court has basically said that we are inviting states to rewrite the U.S. Constitution in any way they want, they're now also free, like Texas, to persecute providers and women who seek to access reproductive services in other states. So we're being proactive and making it clear that this is a reproductive safe haven state.
So how are clinics in New Mexico doing? Are doctors and nurses in New Mexico nervous to perform the procedure? Are they nervous to perform abortions, given that there are other states that are criminalizing the process?
I can reference it in another way, which is we eliminated an antiquated New Mexico unconstitutional ban on abortion that criminalized providers. And while it was never utilized, providers were in fact nervous about it, could see sort of the tipping point at the U.S. Supreme Court, and were very clear that that needed to be removed from our statutory framework, which we did about a year ago. So it is clear to me that there are too many unknowns, and losing this Supreme Court constitutional right by the actions of the Supreme Court, you bet folks are feeling uneasy, and you bet that the fact that states are saying, look, we're inviting, right, tell on your neighbor policies, we will hold women accountable. This is something that most states, I hope, will consider protecting the folks that provide healthcare services to their residents and to folks who legally are seeking abortion in our state.
The polls indicate that a majority of the American people disagree with the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. But the polls also indicate that the American people as a whole do support some restrictions on abortion. What is the law in New Mexico? Are there any restrictions?
There are no restrictions, given that we interpret, and I agree that again, pre this new Supreme Court decision, but Roe v. Wade, is that this is a privacy right and a personal decision between a woman and her doctor. And to interfere in any of these medical decisions creates, and it has, right, unknown, untold reductions in civil liberties for any number of individuals, including women's access to contraceptives and other safe sex protections like the morning after pill or Plan B. Here, we would love to do as much as we can to focus on maternal health and prenatal health to make sure that we have fewer and fewer and fewer and eliminate all unwanted pregnancies. However, in these late-term abortion issues, these are women who have picked a name, have enrolled in childcare, who have a nursery, the kind of medical issues and deeply private personal traumas that are occurring in those aspects. I don't believe government has any right to interfere and judge those decisions when two medical providers are providing that information directly to their patient. But we are also a state that would like to do more to prevent unwanted pregnancies and to prevent the kind of violence that can result in a pregnancy. And those are things I'd like to see not just New Mexico, but the American people focus on in the same context as protecting our civil rights.
New Mexico Democratic Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, thank you so much for your time today. Up next, I'm going to speak to somebody who worked closely with the January